words, it really makes me upset.
I know it does. You need to go to your safe space.
I do. Anyways, all right.
Okay.
To another Friday.
Another Friday.
And another podcast, I guess.
Podcast.
All right.
I like it.
Let's do this.
Do it. Ooh, that's good.
Oh, I'm drooling all over the place.
Dude, do you need
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back.
Easy now.
Welcome back to the Drunken Parents Podcast. This is an episode or a show. Well, obviously it's an episode. This is a show where, okay, I'm just going to say it right now. We had to restart this podcast because the first 10 minutes there was just an audio issue. So we've already had a couple drinks. So now we're going to have to just keep going.
Yeah.
So that's
what the problem is.
This is where we're starting.
At this point.
This is all about the Drunken Parent Podcast. And again, it doesn't even get off on the right foot. Anyways, so this is a show. I was going to say episode again. This is a show where we sit down, have a few drinks, sometimes maybe a little too many.
Talk about being parents.
Talk about parenting and just what it's like, and the daily trials and tribulations, and of course maybe anything else that kind of comes to mind, because that's what we do.
That's how we roll.
Because it rambles. These episodes just kind of ramble
continuously.
Yes, but before we get to that, let's take a time out to thank our non-sponsors. And our non-sponsors of the day today are picture frames, because.
Dude, what?
I hate them. Picture frames are like the most expensive thing in the world, and I hate it. I hate it so much.
Did you go to Michael's today?
Yes, I was at Michael's.
Okay,
and I went there and I was looking at picture frames, and they're like, starting at like $200, $300.
But sometimes they give you like a coupon.
I don't. Yeah,
buy one and get another one like
50% off. Yeah. So then it's like buy one and spend more money and buy another. Thanks for that. But you always
have more than like one thing to.
It doesn't matter. I don't want to spend $2,000 on getting like 3 picture frames.
Okay, well, what were you looking to get framed though? Like, what do we have to frame?
Well, we have like all of our art, right? We have like all our art.
Oh yeah, we have a ton of Wicked posters. Yeah, yeah.
And then you have your cross stitch stuff. So yeah. We got lots of stuff to frame.
Lots of stuff, I guess.
Anyways, I hate it because they're so expensive. I just want them, but then I never get them because it's like so expensive.
Ridiculously expensive.
So screw you, picture frames. I hate you. Thank you for not sponsoring today's episode. And let's just move on. Because I'm getting triggered. And I don't like to be triggered. Who am I kidding? I love being triggered.
Or do you?
I love getting triggered. Then I can just complain and just get my way. If I just yell loudly enough, I must be right.
You must be right.
All right. So today we're going to talk about different parenting philosophies. Maybe more specifically, we're going to talk about our parenting philosophies and just, how we go about raising our kids and what's, I guess, makes sense for us.
And what works, I think, more importantly, right? Like...
Yeah, and again, what works for us, right?
And what doesn't work.
There's lots that doesn't work, but that's just kind of how it goes.
That's what parenting is.
So actually, before we get to that, I want to start off with a story, and I think it'll segue nice into what our conversation of how to parent, because it kind of delves into the issue of morality. So I don't think I've even told you the story. So it was a couple months ago where I was at the grocery store and I was at the checkout line. So the guy, the cashier, he's just this teenage guy, he's just a kid.
It's his job.
He doesn't give a fuck, right? He's just like, scan it, whatever, right? Yeah. So he gets to like your protein, like the protein powder. You want to get the big bin, the big bin, the big tub or whatever it is. Yeah. Which, by the way, if you're listening and you take protein, just don't. It's like snake oil, that stuff, right? You know it is. All right, moving on. So if anybody out there who's listening, you buy those
other conversation.
We just had it. It was done.
It's a big tub. No, that wasn't a conversation actually.
It's a big tub of protein. So he gets to that. So you make me buy it. So we get there. So and he scans it. The people who know this, like, they're expensive, right? They're not like
it's $20.
Cheap, right?
Well, it's $20.
Yeah, but some
are very
$20
expensive.
is still the most expensive item in the groceries by far, because you buy this or that. Anyways, the whole point is it's not like $1 or whatever.
Yes, fair.
So the point is he continue on the story. So he scans it, and I could tell 100% it didn't actually scan. It just made some weird noise. And he's kind of looking at it, and he's like, did it scan or whatever? And then he's like, I don't care. And he didn't say that. He's just like, whatever. Do I want to feel like do I want to look like an idiot? Like I don't know what I'm doing, whatever. And then he just puts it in, he just bags it and goes on. And then the question is, from a morality standpoint,
do you say something?
Do you say anything? And so I didn't tell you the story, right? Like you never heard this. Yeah. So what would you do? Do you say, hey, that didn't scan? Please scan it so I can pay for it.
Well, if you're right.
Or do you say nothing? Like, like I said, I knew 100% it didn't scan.
Well, then because if you know 100% and you're right there. I never watched
the thing, but you see like the pricing. Yeah. I saw that it didn't go in.
Well, and it's one thing if you're like right there in the moment, but actually there's another story where.
Well, pretend that you are right there in the moment.
Well, yeah, then no, that's what I'm saying. If you're right there in the moment and you see that it doesn't scan, doesn't go through, then yeah, I think you should probably say something. But like one of my friends actually was telling me this yesterday. She and her mom were in Costco, and they had winter coats, and the cashier assumed that those winter coats were already theirs, and so they didn't scan them. So she got home and realized what had happened, and she called back, and they're like, well, like she called Costco and we told them what happened. And they're like, oh, well, do you mind coming back and like,
of course they're going to say that. That's the stupidest thing ever.
But anyways, it was like after the fact, and
did they go and pay?
She totally did.
You don't have to tell me who this is. Do you want to say it on the air?
Who it was?
You tell me later.
I'll tell you later. Yeah. Anyways.
Give him a slap on the face.
Well, whatever. That's pretty honest, right? To do that.
It is. So anyways.
Especially it's not $20. Like I'm sure it was a couple grand.
Wow. What kind of snow? These are my snowsuits. They're laced in diamonds.
Costco. No, like a couple $100, right? Like it's a winter coat. It's expensive.
Costco, I'm sure it's like $50. It's Costco stuff. Come on. It's not that. It's Costco.
Anyways, it's a winter coat. It's a winter coat.
Are they buying 10
it's a winter
coats at the same time?
Anyway, so move on. So what did many people do?
I hate Costco.
Oh my God.
Speaking of someone who's never been in the damn store.
I was going to say, have you been there though?
Well,
okay, anyway, so then what did you do?
Oh, what did I do?
Do you even want to say it on air?
What would you do? Of course I'm going to say it on air.
I would totally say, well, you didn't scan it. I'm right there. Yeah. I would feel like a douche if I didn't.
All right. So
you did.
No. Yeah. I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't. I knew it didn't scan, and I thought about it. I had time to think about it. But you only want to do it. You only have a split second because once he starts packing and he packs,
then you can't.
It's like, by the way, like a minute later after you packed all the stuff, I don't think that's scanned.
Of course.
So you got to say it right there, then and there.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
Why? That's really weird. That's not really like you. You're like very honest.
No, but see, okay, anyways. Number one, it was at Walmart. And
huge corporation. They treat their employees like shit.
They treat everything, it's I mean, do they need that? Like, I need that $20. I need that $20 way more than they do. I guess, but that's not the point. The point is, okay, I don't in my opinion, like there's, no one can say 100% that there's a heaven and hell. I don't believe in it. There's no hell. Yeah. So that type of morality or that type of fear is not my driving motivation for where I get my morals from.
Of course.
And speaking of that, like who comes up with the idea of hell anyways? Isn't that the most insane concept that you do something bad or you just don't even think a certain way that you are going to spend the rest of your life burning? Isn't that insane?
It's that's insane, I think it's insane. Right? I think it's insane. But that's like a conversation.
No, whatever. We're just talking about morality, and then it kind of ties into the philosophy stuff. Like I'm just saying, it's such a crazy concept. But that's not my driving force because that should scare you to do everything, right?
Sure, but what I'm saying is like, what was your moral process?
So my whole, I guess the reason why I made the decision was the fact that they're the store and they're the ones that are responsible for making sure that I pay or whatever. I don't know. It's just their business. And part of a business model especially of a company of that stature, if they get a new product or whatever, and something breaks on the shipment or something customer breaks it on the store, that's just breakage. It's just part of business. It's written off. They get to write it off anyways.
Of course.
So,
and that's like bad training, right?
Yeah, bad training. So it's like, it's their fault in a sense, right? Like what if I wasn't paying attention I know I could say what if, right? What if I wasn't paying attention? I didn't even notice that he didn't scan it because I never watch the numbers usually, which maybe you probably should to make sure things are scanned properly. But I just happened to look and then I just happened to notice that it didn't scan. So, but then now that I did notice, I felt bad though. I felt bad because I'm like, I knew it was wrong. Yeah. But it's like, fuck it. I want my $20. Like, I don't want to pay for this if they're not going to do it. I don't know. So was it right or wrong? Yeah, it's a gray area because I could see the arguments both ways.
For sure.
Because I remember I've told you the story before. There was another time where I bought kitty litter, like a bin of kitty litter. I left it on the bottom of the cart. Oh. And then I got out to the car and I'm like, oh shit, I didn't pay for that. I'm like, I'm not going back in to pay for, $8 for a can of, or a bin of kitty litter. Which is like that story that you told me, that friend. I'm like, I'm home. I'm done. That's done.
I know, that's what I would.
Like, I'm going to hop in my car, pay the gas, pay my time just to pay them when they could have just written it off and get it. Like,
I know, but I think
it's not right.
But I think the point is with that example that I gave is like the coat was probably worth a significant.
What's significant?
Significantly more.
Significant to who? Significant to who?
True.
Significant to the company?
What I'm saying.
They could lose $1 million and be like, it's nothing.
Of course. But what I'm saying is like, to you as a person, like $100 is a huge difference than like $20. So $20 you don't feel bad about or whatever, right? Like, but then
I won't feel if
I know, but that's what I'm just saying is like, it's a difference in price. And so that's why I think because it was not just one coat, it was 2 coats. So that's why I think
if it would have been one, would have been different. I don't think so. I think that person's moral guilt. Which is a good thing.
But what I'm just saying is like, if you just think she felt a bit more obligated because it was a big ticket purchase, that's why she felt obligated to call back. I don't know why you would even call, just like go back if you feel that bad.
What they're going to say. They're like, oh, we made a mistake. Yeah, keep it. Like, think about what they're going to say. Like, just take a minute to think.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways.
Okay,
so how does this relate to parenting now?
It's just your morals or your belief system, or like what you would.
How you parent your kids. So you're going to tell our kids to steal?
No, of course not. But that's the thing. Is it stealing? Maybe it is. Maybe that is. It's not purposeful.
Oh, it's not purposeful.
There's a one. I guess it's like that
lying by omission.
Exactly.
Right?
It's like you're not lying by omission. But it's like if you were like if you let's up the stakes. Mm-hmm. If you were in a court of law, and the lawyers are asking you questions and you're like defending yourself, but they don't ask you the right questions. You do not volunteer information that's going to criminalize you.
Of course
not.
So I
kind of think about it in that sense. And that's, you could go to the jail for like murder versus go free, for example.
Of course.
Are you going to tell them something that would make it easier for them to convict you?
Shit, no.
No, I mean, you're not even allowed to. Isn't that like you can't perjure yourself or whatever, right? I'm not saying. Isn't that like I plead the fifth or whatever it is? You see it in movies, so I don't know if that's actually in real life.
Well, that's a different kind of thing, but you're on the right track with it.
I'm just using the analogy that you're not going to give out more information than you need to.
That's
like,
true.
Where were you on the night of whatever? At home. Next question. Right? Like, what were you doing? Sleeping. Next question. Like, you know what I mean? Like, don't give them
more.
Don't be
that
like,
they can,
I was actually thinking about this, and then I was like,
of course,
whatever.
Of course.
So the same kind of thing. I go to the grocery store. It's like I'm paying you a service. Mm-hmm. I'm coming in to shop. Yeah. If you screw up,
it's not my fault.
It's not my fault.
I guess that's true.
And if I know about it, should I feel guilty? Yeah, I do. I did feel guilty. I kind of feel guilty now.
You're like the most honest person I know. But
when it comes to that kind of stuff, though,
I know. Mm-hmm.
But again,
I get it.
You know what? If we were rich, then it'd be a different story. Maybe I'd be like, I don't care. It's $20.
Well, yeah.
But now, I mean, I'm not saying $20 is like, oh shit, we don't want $20. I got to sell my computer now because I can't afford it. Like,
well, no.
We're nowhere near that, but it's still $20 is still $20 because I'm like, oh well, shit, I could buy
Pokemon cards.
Yeah, I like Pokemon, so whatever. I could buy like 4 packs of Pokemon with that. I can. That's awesome. Let's wrap this up. I want to play some Pokemon. Anyways, so that's a total aside there. That was only supposed to be like a 2-minute aside. But
it was like please, asides here on this podcast are like the podcast. It's like actually the podcast.
So let's get on to the hors d'oeuvre of the show, which
that was the hors d'oeuvre, honey. You're talking about the entree.
I know, but now I'm flipping it.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, a little late. Thank you for that.
Okay.
All right. So now, okay, all right, you have that one, and then I'll keep everyone occupied while you drink that. So we're talking about parenting philosophies and different styles. So there's a bunch of different styles and philosophies. Maybe you can list them because there's
Well, I
like
feel
you think there's a difference between styles and philosophies, right?
So we kind of, well, yes and no. I guess like when I was looking at stuff, it's like there's kind of like 3 or 4 main like styles of parenting. And so that's like authoritarian,
which is like the parent is like, this is my way or the highway.
This is a fucking dictatorship. You do what I say. You can't question it.
So if the kid's like, why do I have to do that?
No freedom of speech.
Well,
you just
like, why did I do that? Because I said so.
Because I said so. Yeah. Authoritarian. Then there's permissive.
That sounds familiar.
And then there's permissive, where it's just do whatever you want. How do you feel? Just go do it. Whatever.
Why? Clearly you don't like this parenting style since you're mocking it with your tone.
And then there's just
stick with the facts. Be completely. This is a straight journalism show. There's unbiased reporting here.
Fuck that noise.
Who are we kidding?
And then there's like, obviously this is, I don't even know why this was like listed as a style, but it's like neglectful, where you're just like, no, but it was like on a couple different like websites that I looked at. It was like neglectful.
Websites. We're just let's just talk about
like just neglectful and just like, you know, being on your phone all the time and not like acknowledging your child's
That's a style. It's a style.
Or, you know, whatever, just like being neglectful.
Yeah, it's just like an uninvolved type of parenting.
Yeah, uninvolved. I think is a really.
It's not like it's a purposeful style where someone's like, I want to be this type of parent.
No,
on the style board, like this is this is me. This is how I parent.
Well, no, I don't think.
This is what I want to be.
I think people. I think people. No, I just think people like can be just very unintentional about how they parent and not really think about how they parent. Right?
Then it's
it's unintentional.
Then
yeah,
it's a style. Unintentional parenting.
Intentional.
You're on their phone.
You just hope for the best.
Yeah. Hey, maybe that's
Sink
better.
or swim.
Hey, flip a coin, 50-50.
Well, it's not actually, but
no, 40-60.
No, I'm just saying, like, there's like many studies of like
have shown.
Studies have shown
80% of studies that I have
reviewed studies have shown what different types of parenting styles lead to different types of children. If you're a nerd like me,
what should we talk? Do you know any more? Can you talk a little bit more about that? Like what kind of parenting style leads to what kind of outcome? Or again,
I don't have it in.
Like I said, we're just going to talk about our stuff, but just if you had any kind of. So you bring it up, but then
sorry,
you can't back it up.
Well, because I forget there's a style like kind of in between like authoritarian and permissive, right? Because there's always that happy medium, and so
of course those two are like yin and yang. It's like the opposites.
Obviously,
it's like you can't do anything by yourself without me telling you, or you
fuck off and do everything by yourself. Yeah. So anyways,
but there's also a difference too, because there's the free range parenting, which is it's not like do whatever you want to do, but it's just like you have the ultimate responsibility for what you do when you can do it, right? It's like, okay, well, go and play wherever you want to, but just be back home by supper time kind of thing, right? You can just basically like you open the door, your kid can run wild and go free. Yeah. Which I applaud that to a certain point.
But that's how both of us, and I think this is a big difference between generations, is that's how I grew up, right? Like I was like,
did you really? Like I was not free range at all. Like what are you talking about? Like it was so. Could you just be like, hey, I'm leaving, see ya, and like I'll be back at like 8 o'clock.
Not to that extent,
but free range is like. That's what I mean, right?
So when I think of free range,
the parent doesn't know where they are, doesn't know where they're going. You know, there's a difference between like, hey, I'm going to Timmy's house.
I had to file like an approximate flight plan.
Exactly, but that's not what.
And then I had to be home for like supper, right? And but that was about it. Like they knew where I was.
But this is, I think there's also a difference between like 16, 17, 15, 16, 17, as opposed to like 8, 9.
You know what I mean? I was like probably like 12.
Yeah, so that's 12 and 8 is a big
12.
difference in terms of
course it is. Of course it is.
Free range you do. But I know there's some free range parents that are just like, all right, well, just, you're in kindergarten or whatever. And
no.
Right? But anyways.
So do you want to talk about like how we do?
So, there's just a few other examples of different types of philosophies. There's like obviously the helicopter parent, which I think we're probably going to talk about that in a whole separate podcast, probably next week or in the next coming weeks, because that's the type of parent that basically goes in there and like does everything.
Or not doesn't that's a snowplow. Hover is like you hover, and then you kind of like
as soon as anything even remotely if there's any danger,
you jump in
and you just handle it for them.
Or if there's like any kind of conflict, you like jump in and like manage that conflict.
How's that
for your
different from
kid.
snowplow parent?
So snowplow parent is you just any obstacle in your child's way, you just kind of
You just move it out of the way
plow it
for them.
These are the parents that carry their kids' backpacks
Yeah.
to school for them. You don't want them to have to experience any type of hardship. Basically, you plow it out of their way.
Yeah, sorry, I had to get that down. Since when is carrying a backpack a hardship?
Apparently, it is.
One strap or two strap it?
Well, I one strapped it hard.
One strap the shit out of that backpack.
One strapped it
those
hard,
old school. Remember those
canvas ones?
Was it leather or canvas?
It was like canvas
black
with
and
like
had the stuff on the side.
Yeah,
and I remember I wanted one so
green.
bad.
Yeah.
And then when I got one, it kind of was like out of style. And then I got one too. It's like this fucking hurts. Like it was so
Well, I know they were-
impractical.
Well, not
and then
only
you
that,
had to
but they were
buckle up your.
They were like pieces of shit.
Yeah, it
like
broke
they
so
broke
fast.
so fast, like the leather, like lining. Anyways,
Just reminds me of that stupid movie, like 21 Jump Street. One of those what's his name? Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill. But yeah, they like go back to high school like one strap, two straps, and he's got that guy. He's like one strap. He's like everyone's like two strapping, and everyone's like talking about environmental issues. It's like, what is this? Are these the cool kids? I don't know what's going on here.
It's funny.
Like parks in the handicap area.
It's like opposite.
Yeah, I'm cool. Yeah,
it's like opposite.
I don't even know if that's true or not, but it's just what it portrays in the movies. And whatever I see in the movies is actually what is true.
It's obviously true. Obviously,
I get all my cues from Hollywood.
And Google.
It's crazy how the Sith are just running wild in these days. And the giant robots that are here to kill us, and they transform. That's crazy.
Man, nuts.
It's crazy. It's so real. Let alone all these enhanced humans that are superheroing up in New York City.
Mutants and all this shit.
Yeah, mutants.
Anyways.
Deadpools. Oh, that Deadpool.
Oh, I love Deadpool.
Oh.
I love Deadpool
All right,
so
we're just
much.
going to hang down that tree.
Whack it off.
We're going to whack this off right now. Oh, yeah.
Hugs, not drugs.
12 seconds into the trailer, he's like already made a like jerk off reference. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, Deadpool. It's hilarious.
Best.
Anyways, so we're totally sidetracked, I think. Are we sidetracked?
A little bit.
A little bit. All right. So, excuse me. Sorry about that. So, stop laughing over there, okay? You're making me feel so bad.
Anyways.
All right.
So let's talk about like our parenting style.
Okay.
Okay.
Which is what?
And go.
And do it. Well, clearly it is the I don't do anything style. What is it? The uninvolved. Yes. I'm just on my phone 24/7.
No, we're like hyper involved.
No. Oh, okay. Calm down. All right. So let's just give, I guess, this is the thing is that, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. That sounds really terrible. Let me have a drink of water here for a second. Go ahead and entertain everybody for a second.
I don't know what you want me to say.
Oh boy.
I guess I would
I
would call like our parenting style like eclectic.
I don't even know what that word. I literally do not even know what that word means.
Just like it's like you grab things from different kind of philosophies to make up your own
that's a good
random thing, right? Like,
so I was just gonna say, because we're listing all these parenting styles, like you're helicopter, you're snowplow, or you're authoritarian, or you're uninvolved, whatever. And it's like we don't have in our house like this, this beautiful wooden carved plaque on front of our bed or somewhere in our hallway that says like, this is our parenting philosophy. And it's just like,
nobody does.
Like this
Nobody
big,
does.
this thing. Well, you think, I bet you a lot of people do. Cause they're like, especially if they have religious beliefs or whatever, it's like, this is the way it is. But this is what my point is that we don't have this big thing that's stapled in that this is how we do things, and that is that. We're never going to change.
It's always evolving.
Exactly. So we're always ready to evolve and to take on new knowledge and information and change our point of views depending on what we find is working or what's not working or what we hear or whatever. And we try different things. That's what I'm saying. And you're saying that people don't have that? Yes, they do. You know as well as I do that there are parents that are set in their ways and they have, this is the way it's going to be. And I am going to mold everything around that belief.
Yes.
Even if it's not working. Because we see it time and time again where a certain way isn't working, but you're going to stick to it because it's like,
at it because this is what you know and this is how you were raised and that's how it's going to be.
This is the way it's going to be because look how I turned it. But all that kind of stuff. So that's my point.
Yes. So I think to add a little bit of context to this is that, I mean, our situation is a little bit different, and I think
what situation of having kids?
Yeah, and I think I had ideas about raising kids, and you probably had ideas about raising kids, but then
I had no idea. I don't think about things like ahead of time. Like I don't even know.
Think about shit.
Why don't I don't even know what's going on like 10 minutes from now.
But I think my whole point is that we have been forced to evolve our parenting style because we have a child with special needs.
Yeah, I don't want to use that as a cop-out. I think it would be the same regardless, to be honest. Like, it's going to be the same regardless.
Like, it might have been, but I'm just saying...
So we have one child with, one without, and it's like, it's the same thing with both of them.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, at least for me, having a child with special needs, it's really forced me to reevaluate how I parent and what parenting means to me, because I knew I wanted to be a different mom than my mom, although I adore her. But
there's always
but at the same time,
that's a good thing to think about. It's like, oh well, I know what my parents did wrong, and I want to right that.
And I think each generation does that. But then at the same time, it's like you're like thrust into this whole world that you had no.
Thrust into a world. Continue.
Spill
just a little bit. If people are listening to this and not actually watching on YouTube, then they can't see. So just continue on as if nothing happened.
You poured some.
You're just talking about.
It's just so sad. Yes, but what I'm saying is that yeah, like I mean, you do have to like augment how you parent. You can't parent the same way. That's just that bottom line. You can't.
Same way as what your parents.
You can't parent the same way as a typical kid. You just can't.
Yeah.
If you're because
I know what you're saying, but I'm also saying you can't parent every kid the same.
No,
at the same
of course
time.
not.
So
of course not.
That's why I know what you're saying, and I understand what you're saying, but I'm also going to play the devil's advocate or the opposite side in that every kid is different anyways, just like why we homeschool and how we can tailor homeschool to the kids specifically.
Yeah, for sure.
Typical, not typical, it doesn't matter. The whole point is everyone's different. So saying typical versus untypical, it's like you can't categorize kids into this or this. Therefore, you guys do this parenting style. You guys do that.
But I think
I know what you're saying.
But I think when
you see what I'm saying.
Of course I do. But I think when you become a parent and you are pregnant and you have the baby and you have this like idea in your head of how things are going to be and how you're going to parent and the values you want to instill in your kid and how you're going to instill those values.
Fathers have these thoughts too, and not just mothers.
No, and I never said that. I'm just saying, like, as a parent. And so, but then when you're thrown a curveball, like a special need, it's like you really have to completely you have to rethink shit.
But you have to rethink about maybe what you thought was going to happen in terms of the family trips and the this and this. You know,
oh my God,
that's just behavioral stuff too, right?
Of course, right? Of course, and it's
regardless, you can have 2, 3, 5. Typical quote unquote kids.
Well, every kid's going to be different. I agree with you.
You're still going to have to throw out your parenting conceptions or misconceptions that you had at the start.
And we have to parent both kids completely differently because they are so different. Like,
of course,
so different.
That's how it is.
Yeah, but I think kind of like that's the whole point. Is like you have to be willing to evolve and change and learn and kind of figure shit out.
Sure. I mean, I'm open. I'm like, that's one of my, I guess if I was going to say, if I had one core philosophy that doesn't change, like if I was like, something is going to be engraved in front of on my bed or whatever, it's going to be like be receptive to change. It's like, don't be afraid to
Everything
change.
changes.
Yeah.
Like everything changes.
And not that everything changes, but you have to change with it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
like, because everything changes, but I want to stay the same. This is my thoughts. This is how I did it. This is how my dad did it. This is how his granddad did it. And this is how it's going to be.
Yeah.
It's like, that is like the worst way to think about anything and everything,
well,
especially with parenting. Well, maybe not. Well, with parents, how you raise kids. It's like, back in the day, it used to be okay to like beat kids in the schools, right? Like whatever, right? But now you can't beat a kid in school.
You can't.
So
it's called child abuse.
Well, yeah, but well, I don't. Yeah, in the schools, anyways. I don't know, but at home, I don't even know. I don't even want to get into that conversation because there's still. I remember this Oprah episode that I watched. This was way back in the day, so this was in the 90s, anyways. Where
Jesus, 90s is back in the day. Fuck.
Well, it's back in the day.
Old, man.
Well, geez, that was like 30 years ago, right? The 90s could have been.
We're old.
Thriller turned 35 a couple days ago. Thriller.
That shit still scares the fuck out of me.
It's not scary. Have you even watched it recently?
Yeah, I did.
Dancing Zombies. It's awesome. It's the best.
I'm sorry. Vincent Price is the fucking scariest motherfucker ever.
I don't even know what he looks like.
Oh my God. He's fucking
scary.
He
looks like he sounds in the
He looks
trailer?
exactly like he sounds. He's so scary looking.
I should bring that up. No, I won't. Anyways.
So scary.
Anyways, okay. I don't want to talk about
Moving on.
What was my point? What was I talking about? Yeah. So we're talking about, Michael Jackson. It's scary. Oh my goodness.
We're
I gotta
old.
work back. We're
Oprah.
old.
Something about Oprah.
Oprah. Yes, the 90s. You were talking about the 90s. Yeah, so Oprah. So there was this episode of Oprah, I guess it's back when she was still kind of trashy or whatever. Well, she was just like the Jerry Springer back in the day, right? Before she got super popular and like just started giving away cars to people. So there was an episode where it was different parents, and there was this one parent's, like, their whole philosophy was like hitting the kids whenever they got out of line or whatever. And they were talking about the different punishment sticks they had to whip the kids. And they were like, oh, this is our travel stick. And the parent was like, this is our travel stick. So if we're in the car and they're misbehaving, then they whip the kid
how
with whatever.
How did child services not step in? Like, ethically,
this is a thing, right? But the parents are like, we're doing it for their own good so that they can learn. Like,
I'm sorry, but like child services would be like all over that after that Oprah show, right? Those kids would be removed from that.
It wasn't 2017. This was like 1992,
right? Still doesn't. It's still right. Like child services would be all over it. I'm just saying they probably. I really feel like they would. You
say this, but how many people are still in? How many relationships and people do you hear of people being in abusive relationships?
But sorry,
it's all over the place. People are not getting pulled out of homes left, right, and center. Come on.
Child services goes to houses for less reasons, like way less reasons.
You say this? That. Do you even know anybody that has had child? Like seriously, do you know anybody?
I've heard of people.
Yeah, I've heard. Everyone's heard. Listen, anyways. Seriously, let's deal with reality, right? Like the reality is not every crime a parent commits is like child services is there. Like, come on, it's unrealistic, right?
Fair enough.
So. This was on, I saw this. This was on the show. They're like getting interviewed. Like they seem like well put together people. They're smart. They're like, they're not doing it out of rage. You know, that's the thing, right? They're not like the dad was getting drunk and like beating the shit out of the family members. They were just like, if our kids get out of hand and they do something, whatever, they get the stick and they get the tap on the bum, whatever it was, right? So I'm just saying, I remember seeing that. So there's different.
Yeah, no,
I don't even know what the point was of this whole, why I brought that up, because we're talking about different parenting styles.
But I think this is the thing is like you'll see, and I have a couple family members on Facebook that will post things like little memes like, oh, well, I was hit when I was a kid and it taught me like respect and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I posted like very passive aggressively a study that had come out. And it was like
don't do passive aggressive. I hate passive aggressive.
It was like a 30-year, some like crazy long study that came out, like very well done, about the effects that spanking has on children, and there's nothing good comes out of it. Nothing good at all comes out of it.
It's like in prisons, like when you go into solitaire or whatever, it doesn't teach you anything.
It doesn't teach you anything. It teaches you fear. It doesn't.
Well, I can tell you,
like, respect through fear is not a thing. Like, it's ridiculous.
Well, I can tell you, I wasn't spanked when I was a kid. I got severe physical punishment when I was a kid, and it didn't teach me anything.
Nope.
I'll tell you what it did teach me. Number one, of course, it taught me fear.
Yeah.
And that is not a positive. You do not want to associate any parental figure with fear. No. That is not a good thing. It's not a positive thing.
No, of course not.
And it's not going to help anything in the future.
Of course not.
You know, some people might say otherwise. I don't want to get into it, but they'll say like, oh, well, yeah, it's a good thing because whatever. They might have their opinions. They don't
have that experience,
but,
though.
Well, no, actually they do. But again, I don't want to get into, this is not the whole point of this podcast.
Yes, of course. Okay.
Taught me fear. And the second thing, it taught me to be more mischievous, deceiving, conniving, trying to hide any bad things that I had done that I know would cause a certain type of punishment.
Yep, of course.
So you try to sneak things around, and you just lie or whatever. Yep. So
well, and it's interesting because like,
are those good traits to have? I don't know. Is that why I stole that protein?
Totally
it is why.
No, you're like the most generous and kind person I've ever known.
Yeah, so. But it hasn't. Yeah, whatever.
Anyways, but what I was gonna say is that like,
am I though? Totally, I stole protein. I'm sorry, Walmart. Walmart, if you're listening, you can sponsor our next episode for $2 million, and I will return the protein.
You cannot sponsor us.
If Walmart is going to give me $2 million, I will bend over right now and take their sponsorship. You know where I'll take it.
I will.
$2 million? Yeah, I'll do it.
I'll pay to watch it.
How much are you gonna pay?
Actually, I wouldn't. Actually, I don't want to.
Why would you pay to watch it? What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
I don't know.
You'd watch it for free.
This is like our...
You'd watch it for free. You know you would.
Christ.
She'd watch it for free.
Totally wouldn't.
Oh, I'd pay to watch it. No, I wouldn't. I'd do it for free.
Actually, I don't want to watch it at all.
It's the Sunday matinee movie. It's right after...
Coco.
No, Coco. No, I was thinking of what are those ponies that like fly around?
My Little Pony?
Yes, it's the matinee after My Little Ponies. There's the My Little Pony show, and then after that, where it's Walmart
it's Theo
and
Doom show.
Takes it, you know where, for $2 million show.
Anyways,
look at that. He's enjoying it. Oh, interesting.
Anyways, I think like
that
for
not appropriate.
Like
right.
Our like parenting style is, and again, this is like because of being parents of special needs, of a child with special needs, I think like we're a bit more like kind of conservative about.
Oh, don't say that word. You know I hate that word.
I know you hate that word, but we're not like.
But that being said, now politically we're probably more conservative than liberal, to be honest.
Probably.
Liberals are crazy nowadays.
But I feel like, you know, we're a bit more careful because of Tristan and because of he's a bit more vulnerable than other kids his age, and like in a way.
You know,
and
I see what you're saying, but I actually kind of don't agree with that. He knows what's going on.
He does now, but I think I have a harder time.
Yeah.
Like letting him do things and and it's like it's been in like a really slow process and letting him be more independent but anyways.
Things like that he gets like strict not rules, but like if he knows what the expectations and the lines are, like he'll follow. It's like, you can go to the park, blah blah blah, this or that, but you know when you have to be back and where. He knows that.
And he is very good, and he because he has shown you gain the trust, right? We see like how. So
let's just give some kind of general examples of what kind of our parenting style and philosophy is kind of like.
For sure.
And I don't know, we just see where we go from that. Mm-hmm. So as an example, when the kids are fighting or when the kids are trying to work things out on themselves, when they're trying to
there's a conflict.
When there's a conflict. Our philosophy, I guess you say right now, is to just let them try to solve it themselves.
Yes. With a caveat of, I'm sorry, was that too big of a word for you?
It's nothing to do with the words you're using. Continue.
Well, we're always...
I like big words. I have all the big words.
Of course you do. We're always like It's not like we just like let them like get them into like the octagon and let them like fucking duke it out.
It was a hilarious CBC clip of like this Winnipeg, city in Winnipeg was installing octagons in all the playgrounds to let the kids like duke it out or whatever.
Seriously?
It's CBC's This Is That. If you ever have a chance to listen to that show, because it's a satire thing. It's the thing we saw with the Grey Cup, right? It's like it's not the Great Canadian Concert or whatever. Anyways, but it's like it's hilarious.
That's awesome. I'll have to look at it. But I think the point is like we're aware of what's going on
to a certain point, right?
And then if we have to step in, then we'll step in before things like get like
it's basically
physical.
let them
figure
try
the
to
shit
solve
out.
their problems until if it's going to get to like fisticuffs,
you
step in. But even when you step in, it's still not to solve the problem.
Well, it's still
to break it up and
not to break it up, but like to like help them like solve the problem themselves. And what's really interesting
don't solve them for them. I never solve their problems for them.
What's like so interesting about this Odium actually is I kind of like.
Actually, what is interesting about this? I'm going to be scholarly for a second.
I feel like I really saw the fruits of our labor with this like yesterday. Yeah, and it was like really awesome.
Like at Science, at the park.
At the park
yesterday. Yeah.
So it was our kids. We were there with a couple other homeschool families, and there was a bit of a kerfuffle about turn taking. And I've always told and this has been always like just. You need to try to solve things on your own. Absolutely. However, if you can't, if someone is not able to, they're not listening to you instead of
being a bitch or an asshole.
If they're being a fucking douche, then, and you can't like come up with it yourself, then you need to come to me. And before you come to blows.
Because the other person's not listening to the words that you're saying.
They're not listening, and then you don't want it to come to the point where you're going to hit.
Which is real life. That's the thing. This is real life. Sometimes you can't logically talk to people.
Yes. And so what happened is Maya saw an injustice happen.
An injustice. Social justice warrior to the rescue.
No, it wasn't.
I know.
But anyways, she came over to me right away. She knew she needed more help to solve the problem than she knew what to do.
After she tried to solve it herself.
After her, not just her, but Tristan as well. Both of them tried to solve the problem. They couldn't. She came to me and was like,
"Yeah,
Mommy, this is what's happening. I need you to come and help." Yeah. And I did. And even like, and then I had to help the other kid through it. And I had, anyways, but.
And then I went to the beat down. I turned green. And then child services came. Of course, they just come everywhere, right? Because they're hiding behind every tree. Child services. I'm here to take away your kids. It's like, God. Do you know anybody? No, but they do it all the time.
Shut up.
Do they?
Anyways, but what I'm saying is like finally, like after years and years of saying, if you cannot, if you try to solve it
yourself,
and because I'm standing there and I can see what's happening and I know what's happening, and I
take a step back and you let them try to handle it.
And I see her and Tristan trying to resolve the problem. They can't, so then they come to me before it becomes like a huge issue.
Well, how many times were the kids like? They're doing their thing, and then like something happens, and then right away one of them's like, "Yeah, the other one's not doing it." I'm like, "Yeah, deal with it."
Exactly.
What do you want me to do about it? You deal with it. And like learn to share or whatever.
But I think the point
right?
is that it. I mean, you're how.
Because it's life.
But how fucking often did we have to say, "Solve it on your own"?
Wow.
This is not my issue. Solve it on your own, right? But eventually, the point is you have to stick with it.
Of course, not like
you have to. I
tried once and they didn't solve the problem, so then I have to do it myself. It's like one time.
They're like,
did you learn how to do whatever the first time you did it?
Yeah, right? Like how long have we been doing this with the kids? Like forever.
Well, it's been kind of our thing, right? It's
but I'm saying, yes, and what I'm saying is like now, at the age of 9 and 11, they're able to navigate these issues on their own.
That's the whole thing, because the thing is that in life, you're going to be dealt with situations where there's people that
don't fucking agree with you.
They don't agree with you, but not even that they could even be wrong. Like it just I'll say there's people that are just wrong in what they're thinking, and
this kid was wrong. And this kid was wrong.
You're going to butt heads with them, and you're going to have to figure out how to solve that problem. And And sometimes solving that problem isn't there's not going to be somebody to run to complain. It's like, oh, you talk to the dean or whatever at the faculty or whatever. It's like, that's not how you solve your problems, right? Which is, again, this whole thing with, what's her name? Lindsay, whatever her face is.
Lindsay Shepherd.
Yeah. Like, oh, it's just like some kid had a problem in the class. I'm going to run all the way to the dean. Like, really, you can't even talk and discuss your issues. Like, it makes like
you're gonna be a little bitch.
That's the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
And because that kid has probably been raised in a way where they never had to learn how to face adversity, face people with different points of views and different thinkings from them or whatever. So, like, you have to learn how to deal with this in life. And what better way to learn is with siblings and just like day-to-day life. But then like, I want to play with this one. Oh, I want to play with this one.
But then even
work out a solution.
But then even I think the whole point is like, instead of like snow plowing my kid's way through that situation, I said to
blanket, like, if you don't do what we do, then you're snow plowing. It's not true either. But it's just not even everyone snow plows.
Well, no, I agree with you. I don't know. But I don't even know what percentage would be. But just to clarify, but even like instead, like I didn't just like snow plow. Like I walked over to where things are happening, and I said,
"This is one situation you're talking about."
But I think it's a good example. And I said to the kid who was not letting other ones take a turn, I was like, "Okay, well,
what the fuck are you doing? Snap out of it."
Well, no, but I didn't do that. But I didn't address him. I said to Tristan, I was like, Tristan, like, did you, like, what's going on? Did you say something to this kid? Maya, did you say something? Like, are you addressing it? How are you addressing it? And then I said to the kid, well, do you think it's fair? And then finally I said, okay, well, what you're doing is not fair. And then you need to let this other child like,
or like, do you think this is fair? What do you think is fair? Yeah, let them try to work
it out because the thing is like the other kid was fucking bawling because they weren't given a turn, and it was bullshit. And it's like, are you kidding me?
This is the thing. It's like you're older, you're the oldest kid, you're gonna cry because you don't have a turn on the swing. Like, calm down. Anyways, but that's
a whole other issue.
That has to deal with not being able to deal with certain issues. Like, I'm not saying I don't know what the situation was.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is like I didn't.
Those are the type of kids that don't learn how to deal with situations. Exactly. I don't know how to deal with it, so I'm just gonna break down crying.
My point is like, to solve the situation, I just didn't like go in and say, okay, you kid, you're fucking out of here. This kid's having their turn. I'm trying to like solve it, let them solve it, like scaffold it, and like let them like.
It's just like having a debate. There's a moderator. Yeah, it's like being a moderator.
Yes, that's like the most perfect analogy you could have given.
Of course it is. Because I'm perfect.
You are perfect.
In every way.
You totally are.
Walmart would say differently. But that's okay. They're giving me $2 million, so they can do whatever they want with me. All right. So that kind of leads me into another point that I want to talk about, is that whenever the kids come and ask me with a question, I do not just immediately solve the question. Or answer the question, even though, of course, I have all the answers to every question, which I do because I'm a genius.
But sometimes,
other times they'll ask me a question, and I'll say like, well, "What do you think the reason is?"
Dictionary.
I do. They're like, "How do you spell this?" Well, I get a dictionary.
No,
but honestly, because if they don't learn how to spell, then. I'm not always going to be there to show them how to spell a word.
No, it's fine. It's fine. But sometimes you like take it too far.
No, anyways, I understand how things are. So I could see you. You're right in front of me. I can, like, I recognize that, like, things are changing and how culture, society is going, how everything's more computerized or whatever. And like, is even teaching kids cursive writing even. Should we even do that? Is it a skill that they need to learn or whatever? Like, because, and then spelling is like, well, you go into Word or whatever, and then it spells it for you and it checks the grammar. It's like, do you even need to learn that? Because things are taught to you. So that's the point. It's like, oh, if they have a question, they could just Wikipedia or talk on their phone or whatever.
Google it.
But I'm still not going to just like, okay, there's still not going to be that person to come and give you the answer. So I want you to, you know what? Go into the library and do research and try to figure out the answer on your own, because it's not just about punching it on the computer, because even the results you get on the computer might not even be right. Same thing too, I guess, in a book.
Okay.
So when they ask a question of like, oh, well, why is the sky blue? Oh, it's like, well, why do you think the sky is blue? You know, oh, okay, well, where does the light come from? It comes from the sun. Okay, what is the light made out of? Different colors. Like, you know, whatever. You talk and you have dialogues about the question that they ask, so you can get them to thinking about what might be the answer. It's not me trying to be like, oh, I know exactly why the sky is blue.
I know.
Here's why.
No.
Right?
No.
So,
well, no, of course. And this is like
so many people. They're like, oh, hey, mommy, what's 5 plus 5? Oh, it's 10. It's like, well, I was like, how do you calculate 5 plus 5?
Actually, this is like a really good example because we walked this week was break week for homeschool, and so
the best week of them all.
It actually is. And so we walked to the grocery store, and
yeah, I remember that.
So we were walking
like 2 days ago.
So we were walking to the grocery store, and we were talking about, like, of course, like Maya. I don't know what we were talking about, but there was some sort of like crazy exaggeration of like
as usual.
of because it's like obviously they walked to the grocery store is like
I was taking like
a gazillion years. So
or
it was
like say everything. It takes forever. When they say that, I'm like forever. Well, I guess you're never gonna do it again.
But the question is like something like how many years is 500 months. And so because we've been doing like double digit long division, and so I said to Maya, I was like, okay, well, how would you figure that out? Like, how would you figure it out? And so it was like a good like part of like she came up with it eventually, right? And she fucking didn't want to. She was like, oh, just give me the fucking answer. I could totally.
I give you the answer. You think about it.
But I was like, no, and I was like, I don't even want you to get. I was like, I don't
do the calculation.
I'm not. That's what I said to her. I said, don't do the calculation. Just tell me what numbers would you divide to find out that answer, right? And like, and she totally did, right? Yeah, it's just like not wanting to do like the work.
This is the problem.
Right?
This brings me to physics and why I love physics and the combination between. I don't know why we're talking about this, but the breach of not the breach, but the
intersection. The
intersection of physics and mathematics, where if you're given a physics problem, you have to think about how to solve the problem. You have to think of the right way to solve the problem, and then once you think of I got to take this number, and I got to divide this whatever. And then you figure out how to solve the solution, and then it just becomes math. Then you just got to do the math.
Of course.
And that's what physics was always like. That's why I loved it, because it was like solving the puzzle. How do I solve this puzzle? How do I think about this in a certain way? This is how I will do it. This is what will happen when two galaxies collide, blah, 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 and whatever. It's like, oh, well, then I'll just do the math. It's easy.
But this is why we work, because you see the poetry in physics, and I see the poetry in biology.
I took it as electives. Those were my fun classes in university.
And my fun classes were biology and
I took those too. Who has a master's in biology in this house?
Which is kind of shocking, because I kicked your ass on every fucking bio course.
Except the ones that mattered. Like the master's certificate that I have hanging somewhere in the basement. It's not hanging anywhere because I hate picture frames. They're so fucking expensive. It's just sitting in the basement, gathering dust. I will not spend $200 to frame my fucking $75,000 master's degree piece of paper.
Moving on.
We should just burn that one day. We should just burn our degrees. Just burn them.
I don't want to. It means like a lot to me. I love my degree.
Yeah, we'll burn them when we're rich. We're gonna open a Patreon, and it'll be like, literally, you know what? Because Patreon has like the goals. It has like, because it's like, what's the next level, right? Like, we just want people to donate. Like, once we get to $100 a month, we'll do this. Once we get to like 1,000, we'll do this. But ours is gonna be like, once we get to like $50 million. Then we'll do this, because like that's the goal.
Burn it in a volcano.
It's like the John LeJoie thing. It's
over
like
Hawaii.
It's like, if you guys give me $20, well, I don't mean shit. I ain't gonna do anything for you. $20 don't mean shit to me. So if you give me $50, I will take that $50 and burn it as I ride my jet ski, because $50 don't mean shit to me.
Well, that's like a whole other thing.
It's so hilarious. If you've never seen John LeJoie, watch him, because he's hilarious. What do we talk about? Parenting styles. Yes. So let them solve their own problems. And when they come and ask us a question, work that question with them. Don't
Work
just
it.
give them
Don't
the
give
answer.
them the answer. Let
It's
them
an
work it.
it's an opportunity for them to use their mind.
Learning opportunity.
Like whether they think about it or not, right? And and we've talked about this before.
Questions.
Yeah, we've talked about this before. I don't know if it's in this podcast, but we say it all the time. It's that the best educational times are when you convince the kids to learn something when they're having fun or when they don't even know that they're learning. That is the key.
What's like crazy cool is like we were on the drive to the park, the Kiwi Park, and it's kind of like a little bit away from the house, right? It's like a 15-minute drive. And
not
so,
that far, but yeah.
So we were talking about like, I don't know why, I forget how this like whole conversation started, but we were talking about like different like science experiments and how like science experiments can go wrong. And so then
like Bruce Banner when he like exposed himself with gamma radiation and turned into the Hulk.
So the question was about and it was like a very specific, well thought out question. And it was like, has there ever been any science experiments that have gone wrong that have caused
like Madame Curie?
Like, no. That have caused like defects in babies. It was like so specific, and I forget.
Oh, sorry, who said this and what are you talking about?
Maya.
She asked you this question?
Yeah.
She asked you
it was
if
so
there was any science
suspicious.
experiments that have gone wrong that have caused deformation of babies.
Yeah, I forget what you were talking about.
The answer is like, yes, probably millions of people.
But then this was like such an amazing opportunity for me. And I'm like so excited.
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
This is me, right? The biologist. I'm so excited because I took like embryology 101.
I'm the biologist in this house.
So anyway, I took embryology 101, and it was one of the most
101. That's what losers take.
It was one of the most amazing courses ever. And I already knew about this background as well about like thalidomide, right? When they used thalidomide for morning sickness back in like the 60s, and so many
DDT to everybody in the 70s.
So many babies were born with deformalities because of thalidomide. And my grandmother had morning sickness when she was pregnant with my mom.
She took it?
She didn't. They offered it to her.
I was going to say, it explains so much.
They offered it to her. She didn't take it. And my mom, that's like one of her like stories, right? Is like,
Thank God. I'd be like,
she didn't take it. But anyways, the point is, so like was able to like tell the kids that story, and it was like kind of personal, and we were talking about it, and they were just like, it was such a, I don't know, like a great learning time, right? Like it was just, it was really cool.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny to think about things in the 50s and 60s and 70s that people did, like, oh, I can't believe they did that. It's insane.
I know.
But like, what's it going to be like in 50 years from now? The stuff that we're like,
I know.
Could you believe that they used to drink water from the tap? And then it was like, no, but it's like passing through these concrete tubes.
I agree.
That are rotting from the inside, that have like guck in them. And there's like all this clean water is being filled. Like, that's an example, right?
Of course.
Or it's just like, they used to, like, we even talked about this already, like cancer treatments. Like, could you believe that they used to like irradiate their entire body with cancer or with radiation to fight cancer? It's like, how stupid were these people?
Okay, so we don't have to go that far. I mean, just look at like how they quote unquote treat kids with autism right now.
No,
like,
that's nothing. It's like they just like could you believe that they blanketed all these people with this term of autism when they had no, like, it was so many different issues. Yes. It's grouping these people that just have
so we know better. When you know better, you do better, right? Like we don't know.
But I'm just saying, it's like, well, imagine in 50 years, it's gonna be like, oh my God.
But I think the whole point is like always having like an open conversation with your kids. I think is like part of like
it's part of the parenting,
part of our parenting, right?
And the last thing that I want to talk about, I guess, in our style, again, there's so much that we can just go over, right? But
forever.
But we'll just talk about responsibilities in the house, and that for us, the kids have to do certain things, and they have to do it not for chores, not for money, not for whatever, but they just have to do it because they're part of the family. And if you're part of the family, you have to help out.
You have to help out.
You know, you can go back to the hunter-gatherers, like everyone's got to pull their weight or whatever. You're kind of useless in the tribe in a sense, but it's like, it's part of it. You're part of the family. It's like, You might be 5 years old. I'm not asking you to get a job and like pay whatever, but it's like you make a mess, you clean it up. You know, you do this.
You bring your laundry to the laundry basket.
Yeah, or like at certain ages, like you're old, okay, you do the laundry or you do the dishes or whatever. So there's things like that for us, it's like you're old enough to be able to do this, like take responsibility and help out the family.
Well,
there's
and it's
so many different ways you can help the family, and it's not about finances or whatever. It's just knowing that you got to do your part, that other people aren't just going to do it for you.
But then not only that, but like it's been proven and scientifically, there's scientific studies showing this, that it gives kids a sense of self-confidence, that they are a part of a group and their contribution is important to the family.
It's like, if you ever played sports, have been on a team and be like, I want to feel like I'm part of the team.
Part of the team.
Like as a hockey example, it's like, am I the goalie that's making the save at the end of the game? Or even if I'm the fourth liner grinder that keeps the puck out of the net and that makes the big hit to fire up the team, or the sniper that scores the goal. It's like you all have your role.
You have a role.
Everyone has a role, and you want to feel like you're part of it.
Yep.
And whether in a household it's sweeping the floor, or whether it's doing the dishes, or whether it's the person that makes the money, or a person that pays the bills, or that does the dishes, and then everyone has a role, and it keeps the machine going. And the machine is the happy house, right?
And the point is it's age appropriate, right?
Of course. We're just not. I'll say this. I'll say no. It's not age appropriate. It's ability. Exactly. It's like
ability appropriate.
Or maturity appropriate. It's like, can they handle doing this responsibility? Like, if it's a 2-year-old, you're not going to barbecue supper because you don't know how to use a barbecue, right? But if they're 10 and they like it, and it's like they want to barbecue and they want to cook supper, then you're going to help. You're going to cook supper. You're going to help mommy out because mommy cooks all the time or whatever. So and then like,
help out,
And then it's like, no, you don't get money for it. That's part of the family.
That's part of the family.
I don't get paid for it. You don't get paid for it. You shouldn't get paid for it.
What you do.
That being said, we do have things that they can do that what we think is above and beyond what they should do for money, so they could learn that, if I do work and if I do stuff beyond what's expected of me, or if I just do work, that I could get money, because I think it's good for the kids to learn about money and to learn about savings and all that kind of stuff. So that's a whole other teaching tool.
Yes.
So, but they got to do things that helps around the house, and they just have to do it. It's not, do it because you want to get iPad time, or it's like, no, it's not about that.
And for us, screen time, I think that's actually like a big deal too, right? Like
our kids get 40 minutes a day, and that's it.
Yeah, like screen time is like so.
Well, there's been so many studies of like kids shouldn't even have screens before they're 2. And then everyone always says it's like less than an hour a day. Yeah. And I was like, how many kids get basically unlimited screen time for forever? They get nothing. They get 40 minutes a day at the end of the day after all their stuff is done. And if it's done, they get 40 minutes
at a specific time. And if they don't get the stuff done in a specific time, then they get less time to have the screens.
They can make a choice of playing video games or watching TV or Netflix or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's their choice.
Yeah.
So there's other things, and we're going to start incorporating this too. If they want to do computer stuff for like artwork, if they want to do digital drawings or whatever.
Yeah.
Do that all you want. You got the tablet or whatever, start drawing stuff.
Yeah.
That's different, because that's
learning.
It's a skill that you're going to need. Like if you want to be, say, they want to grow up to be an artist, you need to learn how to use, you need to know how to do Photoshop or whatever, right? Like,
of course.
Or if you want to, they love photography or videography. Yeah. Learn how to shoot videos, learn how to edit them, whatever. And you need the tools. And it's a tool. Computers are great tools, but they're not babysitters. They're not like, just watch TV or watch YouTube
that's
or whatever.
The best. I think that's actually like the best. It's a tool.
But
because even like,
you gotta use a tool properly, right?
Well, and because even
bow and arrow could be a tool, but could it be a weapon?
Of course, and I think like that's like even like I definitely use it as a tool in our homeschool, right? I use it as a tool.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Well, that's exactly.
Because the whole point is like we live in a digital world, and the kids are going to live in a digital world, and they just need to know how some of this shit
You can't say like, you can't watch this, whatever. But I'm here looking at naked ladies on Instagram kind of thing or whatever, right?
You're
You're looking at naked dudes.
You're looking at naked ladies on Instagram?
Of course I am. But the point is that like, it's like I'm looking at things that are just, my point is you're just looking at stuff that's like
I know.
not important, right? You're just like wasting time and wasting your life
bullshit.
away. That's the whole point, right? It's like,
I know.
as adults, if you spend like, you know, what's the average? Like adults spend like an hour and a half a day on Facebook, just Facebook. Like it's just a waste.
Only
it's a
an
waste.
hour and a half.
It's a waste. That's an hour and a half wasted.
I agree with you 100%.
Facebook is not good, period. There's nothing good on Facebook, right?
100%.
So the whole thing is like, well, if
Well,
you're doing
actually,
that,
like-
how could you tell your kid that not do
Well,
that,
of
right?
course,
Like,
right.
so there's,
Yeah.
but you just have to make them understand what technology is and how to use it appropriately and what times are good to fool around and do stuff like that and what times aren't. Because do your responsibilities. Yeah, if you want to go on Facebook for whatever and fuck around and just do whatever you want to, then fine, do it. That's what's fun for you, right? Because everyone needs that downtime. You know? Of course. Maybe not everyone, but like, I don't know if Tony Robbins has his downtime. Maybe he does, but maybe it's not Facebooking, right? Or whatever, right? Like maybe
He's doing some crazy shit.
What does Tony Robbins do to like downtime? It's like, yeah, I'm Tony Robbins, and he's
I don't
gonna
know. I think he probably like, I don't know,
Everyone.
surfs.
like
I don't
actual
know.
surfing, like
He lives like
Keanu
he
Reeves
lives
surfing.
lives like on the ocean. I don't know.
So does like 80% of the population.
I would fucking surf.
Let's go surfing.
Let's go surfing.
Where's the best place to learn? Where's like the
Australia?
Point Break, like 50-year storm or whatever?
Like
surf.
Australia or like Hawaii is where we need
Where's
to
the
go.
box jellyfish?
Australia.
Let's go there.
Let's do
Yes.
it. I'm totally fucking in.
Yeah. I always said, remember the Coyote Peterson you were always watching? They get stung by stuff. I'm like, he should get stung by, because he got stung by what? Like the bullet ant and the warrior wasp. I'm like, next, do the box jellyfish. It's like
He
instant
will
death.
die.
Yes, you will die.
Sorry.
But it's cool. Like, do it.
Oh, we love Coyote Peterson.
Yeah, he's pretty good. He's a good guy.
I love Coyote Peterson.
Like the thing is he hasn't done anything that hasn't been done before, and it's like you kind of feel like he's done this whole pain index thing. I think that's kind of one of his biggest rise was doing all this kind of stuff, right? Because that's when all his videos
the
got
bullet ant
viral.
was the big deal.
But it's
Yeah,
like that other the actual entomologist, and I'm saying that as the guy who did entomology as
But
his
have you
master's,
seen that
right?
guy?
You know, I've seen him. What are you saying?
I'm just saying, Coyote Peterson is very charismatic.
I know,
And that's the point,
That's the
right?
thing.
Like-
but it's just like, so many other scientists and whatever have like actually done the work beforehand.
Of course.
But then someone's like, I'm gonna do it because like, and the same thing with the bullet ants. It's like he got bit, but he did the bullet ant and it got like 20 million views, and it's like basically like YouTube. It's like every million views you get maybe $3,000, whatever. So he got 20 million views. That's 3 times 2. That's like $60,000. It's like how many people that live in the Amazon or they're indigenous or whatever it is that they do that as a rite of passage to get stung by bullet ants.
and it's
Not
like
only just one, but like
zillion.
multiple
It's like
times.
a
They have to do like
fucking gazillion.
20 times before they're an adult.
But I think,
And it's like that's just what they do.
But yes,
and
but
it's like
his
they're not
point
getting
is-
paid millions of dollars to do
Of course
it.
not. But his whole point is for education and like.
I know, but the whole thing is everyone else does it, and it's like it's not a big thing, but it's a big thing to us because we've never seen it before.
I feel like I equate him. We are totally off the rails on parenting philosophies, actually.
Yeah, we should have thought about this or talked about it before we had kids.
But my whole point
We're
is,
kind of the same, we know.
but the whole point is like Coyote Pearson really reminds me so much of Steve Irwin. And
I'm sticking my thumb up his butt. Oh, he's really pissed off
fucking
now.
adored Steve Irwin, and I loved his shows, and I loved how like he made things like less scary, and like the enthusiasm and the conservationism.
Yeah, see, I don't
really
buy into that so much.
loved it.
I love the National Geographic, the BBC Planet
Oh
Earth.
shit, that too.
That's
Yeah.
my thing.
Yeah.
That's my thing.
Me,
Show me the beauty of it. I don't need some guy doing stuff that's like, yeah.
I still enjoyed
you're doing
it.
cool
I still
know,
enjoyed it.
I know he's still doing cool stuff, and I still enjoy it. But I just,
Well, no,
I don't know. I just feel like it's doing
but
a disservice to other people that have done all the hard work before, and that you just do it, and then you just get the view because it's YouTube. I get the YouTube money, the YouTube views, and it's kind of like that. And I'm not saying that they're bad people, and I'm not disagreeing with it because that's fine. That's how you want. It's fine, but like the guy who originally came up with the pain sting index, he should be the millionaire, not Coyote Peterson in that sense.
But Coyote Peterson went and interviewed him and did a whole thing, and this guy's just like not charismatic. Like
I know, so that's another thing. Why like Neil deGrasse Tyson, he's charismatic or whatever, and he can help bring science forward.
But I think like
most scientists aren't because there's like I love the work.
But this is what Coyote Peterson is, and that's how I feel he is.
Yeah, I know.
I don't feel like he's just like this asshole out to get money. I've never thought that.
Yeah, maybe he's not, but he is. So, like, maybe he's not out to get money, but like he's got like what 200 million views or whatever the hell, maybe more. I'm just I don't even know what my point is. My point is that yeah, he's good, but it's just like. The guys that actually did the pioneering work get like no recognition.
Yeah, but
I guess that's just my thing.
But he did give this guy recognition, right?
Yeah,
This guy's just
he's been doing his paid index thing for like years now. It's been like 2-3 years he's been doing it, and just now he had the actual guy on it, right?
Yeah. Anyways.
Hey.
He didn't have to have that guy on at all.
No.
But he did.
Of course he didn't, but it's like it's
so
disrespectful to not have.
But it's not.
It's like me and like Bart, right? Like look at my supervisor, right? Like the pioneering work that he's done, and be like, oh, well, look at all the work you've done. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna make a couple of videos, and I'm gonna make millions. And it's like, yeah, like you based all your work on that guy's stuff, right? Anyways, this is not the point. Why are we even talking about this? This has nothing to do with parenting. This has literally nothing to do with parenting. The point is what is the point? I don't know. Just be cool with your kids. That's all there is to it. No, don't solve their problems. Don't solve their problems, but help them work out their problems with them. If you need to moderate, help them moderate it, and intervene when you need to, and just try to push them to be their own independent person, to solve their problems and to think for themselves. So you want to raise kids that can think for themselves. So that's kind of the bottom. That's if we would have to say what our philosophy is it's not a philosophy, but it's like we want to raise our kids to be able to think for themselves and to handle their own problems. Yep. At the end of the day, that's what I want for my kids. Yeah. You know? They end up becoming serial killers because they solve problems that way, a la Dexter. I don't know. That's a different thing. But Dexter is pretty good at problem solving. He's really good at it.
I was going to say, if our kids grew up near Dexter.
But the thing, no.
It could be worse.
No, I don't think it could. Anyways.
Hashtag Charles Manson.
Yeah, okay. Like out of 7 million people, yeah, it's one less worse. Okay, not good. Not a good thing. Anyways, but yeah, okay.
I'm just saying it could be like a lot worse than Dexter.
Not much.
Oh, dude, he's taking out all the bad fuckers. I love Dexter.
Yeah, it's a fictional show. Anyways, the point. Sure. Fine. Okay, fine. You want our kids to be crime-fighting psychopaths, then that's fine.
I don't, but I'm just saying it could be worse.
I don't. But it would be so cool if they were.
It would be so cool if they were.
Anyways, just raise your kids to make the proper decisions, or be not the proper decisions to make decisions. Like
not even give them the tools.
That's all you can do.
Tools. Right?
That's all you can do.
It's all you can do.
Because at the end of the day, we talked about this. It's like what makes a kid become, shoot up a school, or they become an extremist in their thoughts or whatever. And there's so many different variables that come into play. But oftentimes
they just want to be listened to.
It's different. That whole thing too of like a kid that becomes an extremist. That's a whole other issue of somebody feeling isolated and not having friends. And that's that. I don't even know if that has much to do with parenting, but has much more to do with how society's structured and how.
But can I just say one thing?
Social groups are formed and.
Can I just say like one thing?
Anyways, quick. We should wrap this up because
that's what I'm saying. I feel like
this is like our longest podcast ever. Yeah, we should wrap it up.
So that's what I'm saying. I feel like you want to wrap it up, but what I want to say is like I feel like there's a type of parenting called like democratic parenting. And so everybody kind of
everyone makes their decisions.
Everyone has a say, right? And I think
and we have the veto, where the U.S. and Russia that can veto everything.
Veto everything. But I think that's what's important, right?
Sure.
Is like letting your kids,
of course,
have a.
Why shouldn't they have a voice? They're a person too,
right? And like, I mean, even a voice in like very like obviously not in like big decisions, right? But like very small
even if it is big
things.
decisions, let them have their voice, right? Like if
or
you know you're going to have
something, or find something where they could have their voice on, right? Like
if you're having if you're going to have a family trip to Cuba or whatever, you spent like $3,000 to bring the whole family to Cuba, and you're like, okay, kids, we're going to Cuba. What's your choice? Like one kid's like, I don't want to go. It's like, well, you're not going to not go. It's like, okay,
well,
but
I'm thinking like us moving here to Sudbury, right? Like that was a decision. They did not have a choice in it. We're moving here. It's happening. But this is what your choices are.
What bag are you going to pack? This bag, that bag.
Kind of, but like letting kids have control and having a little bit of autonomy where it's appropriate, right? Like, so that's what I think is like the big thing is like democratic, where you can have a democratic.
Absolutely.
Right.
Well,
like
that's
it
goes back to what we were saying before, is that they're part of a family. They're part of everyone's got to do their part to keep everything running. So what's your part? You know, it's like you're doing this part, but your part is also like we want to hear your thoughts and your voices. Yeah. Because if we're a tribe and we're going to move from this area to keep moving or keep doing this or that, we got to make sure that the whole wants it, or that's good for everybody.
Yeah, of course.
Because everyone has an opinion.
Of course.
Yeah. And sometimes there's going to have to be the executive decision where like, I'm the parent, or I have this experience, or I know like I'm the one who's in charge of this or that, because you're 2 and you have no idea.
Of course. That
the bison is moving up north and we have to go there. So it's like we're going there, even though I know you like playing in the pool here, or the puddle or whatever.
No
right?
fucking choice.
So
anyways, we need to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so anyways, that's I don't know. That's our philosophy. So take that on a plaque, carve it up, and stick it on top of our bed. Right. Philosophy is,
do what you do.
Do what's good for you. And my favorite slogan of all is just don't sweat the small stuff. My favorite slogan of all. It means nothing in this context, but I just thought of it right now.
I think it does actually.
Just don't sweat the small stuff.
Yeah.
Because the kids do sometimes too. They're just like, I can't, it's the stuffy is in there. It's like, just don't sweat the small. It's like if the stuffy not being here as opposed to being there is your biggest concern in life, you're like lucky. Just seriously.
Hashtag first world problems.
Yeah. Hashtag third world problems. That's just like ridiculous.
Oh yeah. But anyways.
Well, that's that.
That's that.
And are you still here? Really?
What?
That is impressive. Thank you so much for sticking around for this complete ramble.
We love it though.
We do. We love our listeners. A few of them. Soon we shall amass an army of listeners.
Just gonna say, Gavin. Gavin?
Yeah, he's cool.
Gavin, we love you.
Oh, obviously. I just want to I just can't wait. Just there's people that want to engage and interact with us, because I like anybody that wants to talk with us. Like, send us an email, drunkenparents@gmail.com.
Just like,
talk with
not
us.
even like,
we will respond.
Just to like talk about like parenting in this like crazy like environment.
Just have them on the show. Let's call callers or something. I don't know. It'll be amazing.
For real, call us. We want to have you on the show.
So, anyways, we have ideas of where to take this, but it's just all about. There's parents. I think this earth or this planet has other people that are parents. What? I think so. I'm not sure. What? I think they are. So I think they can relate to us.
Oh, I don't know.
But anyways.
For real?
Yeah, maybe they can't, because maybe they have their crazy.
I know. I think we have a couple. I think we have a couple friends that can hang with us.
We could. Maybe.
Totally.
Maybe.
We do.
Not the ones.
You are.
Not the ones that call Costco and say like, "Oh, I didn't pay for this." Yeah, well, come in and pay for it. It's like, yeah, I don't think I will. Anyways, that's ridiculous. All right, Chris Pie 5.
It's a pie.
there it is.
Love it.
Thank you so much for watching
Thank you so
or listening.
Thank you.
And we will see you next week.
Next week.
Where are you stripping this next episode?
Totally taking it all off.
Andrea is taking it all off. All right, so we will see you then. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Take care.
Love you.